This is a summary of the 14th season of the Debbie and Carrie show. When Mike Florence became mayor of the town, he also became the master of the robot that had served Sandy Smith when she was mayor. But the robot was originally created by James, and he wants it back. After some haggling between James and Mayor Florence, James finally buys the robot back for $1,800. James will later make the robot his assistant at his science class in high school. Jack Watson now goes on trial for murdering Paul Smith, and he immediately pleads guilty and accepts a sentence of 12 to 20 years in prison. Jack adapts well to prison life, and he finds that one of his fellow inmates is Ted Wilson, who many of the other prisoners use as a punching bag because of the crime he was sent to prison for, the murder of his own wife. Jack is happy to see Ted punished and joins in the beatings of the former bully. What goes around comes around. Deborah Belmont's parents are now sued over the way they treated their daughter. With their reputation already ruined, the parents settled the case and agreed to let Deborah be emancipated. The Christian Way Academy in Arlington is shut down, just as the one in Houston was earlier, and so the reputation of the company running those schools is ruined, causing it to collapse completely. The association of the faithful remnant with the Christian Way Academies means that group is also badly damaged. Philip McKinsey now reports to Debbie that his wife has died, and so he is now willing to return custody of his granddaughter Annika to Debbie and Carrie. The deal is made, and so Annika and Richard Sims are once again able to live like cousins in the same household. Vicky Jones now tells Vicky Sims that she will pay $100,000 for the exclusive rights to the book Sims has been writing to make a movie out of it that can be released to theaters. So the deal is made. Bella now goes into labor, and then she gives birth to her twins. Police Chief Root is thinking of resigning and returning to Boston, where he once lived, to marry a woman there named Barbara that his mother told him about. But the woman is actually the same Barbara who was once in an abusive relationship with Jessica Sims. When Jessica finds out about this, she warns Police Chief Root not to get involved with Barbara. When Barbara comes to Texas to see Root, she is intercepted at DFW Airport by Jessica and Lucy Sims, who reprimand her for being dishonest and demand she return to Boston immediately. Barbara finally complies, knowing she can never be with Jessica either. Jack Watson is now offered a chance to serve his sentence in a more useful way than rotting in prison: to join the U.S. Army. Jack accepts the offer, and so becomes a soldier stationed at an army base in Texas near its border with Louisiana. The town suffers a critical power failure during a storm that hit the town. At first, it was assumed this was due to damage to the power station caused by the storm. But an investigation reveals it was actually sabotage caused by Don Dacron, as part of a plot to eliminate the power station and make the town accept power from Dacron's fossil fuel company again. When Dacron tries to make Mayor Florence sign a deal with him, Florence instead has him arrested. Laura Park is at a hospital helping to care for her wife Suzanne, who is known now to be dying of a virus. Vicky Jones comforts Laura and encourages Laura to stay with Suzanne to be bitter end. And so Laura does. Then Suzanne is given a funeral in the outpouring of grief sticks in the minds of Diana Hudson, Suzanne's niece, and Richard Sims. Decades later, Diana and Richard are grown up and a married couple. They use a spaceship equipped with the ability to travel back in time to go to the year 2023 and abduct Suzanne as a 15-year-old. An injector with a vaccine to prevent her from getting the virus that killed her at the age of 28. Thus they change the course of history. This is almost identical to what Debbie from the future did for her mother Sandy in the year 2021. The resulting new timeline has problems of its own. Suzanne has to fire the Hypatia band's lead guitarist Rebecca Lemmy, after Lemmy makes racist remarks at the keyboardist, Gabriel Nuria, because Nuria is an immigrant from India whose English vocabulary is limited. Suzanne asks her brother Matthew to replace Rebecca, and he agrees, and the band is thus renamed the Hudson Family for the rest of the tour. James and Penny, along with their children, have moved out of the Smith-Wilson mansion and are now living with Penny's Uncle Wayne. But soon a conflict arises over serving dinner. Because Wayne owns the house, he thinks he should dictate what food is served, but Penny disagrees. Then James and Penny threaten to move right back to the mansion, and James reminds Wayne that since James and Penny contribute their own money to support the household, they should have a say in what food is served. Wayne finally gives in. Vicky Sims, her mothers and Paul Jenkins are discussing plans for a possible summer vacation and eventually agreed to go to Los Angeles. Carrie then calls Vicky to tell her that Carrie and Debbie want a vacation of their own to Hawaii. Vicky then gets a call from a former classmate of hers and Paul's, Emily Chan. Emily demands that she be included in the Sims' plans to go to Los Angeles, and Vicky is offended at the audacity of this. She dislikes Emily for trying to steal Paul from her, so she rejects this idea. Whitney Owen is visited by her grandmother, Rose Owen, who disappeared from her life after she split from her husband, Dave Owen. Rose explained that she couldn't be the totally submissive wife Dave demanded she be, and Whitney tells of her own experiences with her grandfather after Rose left. Whitney then allows Rose to stay in the Smith-Wilson mansion. Debbie and Carrie fly to Hawaii, only to learn after they reach it that a hurricane will soon hit the island chain, endangering them. Their vacation ruined. They take the next flight they can out of Hawaii and go instead to Los Angeles to meet up with the Sims couple, Vicky and Paul. But it seems their summer is cursed, for right after they arrive, the city is hit by a massive earthquake. Vicky Sims urges everyone else to do what they can to help victims of the earthquake. Vicky Jones also joins in the relief efforts by dressing as the Blazing Beauty and visiting children at a hospital. Scott Miller was injured and he tells his Aunt Lucy that he and his wife Aisha lost their daughter Dinah in the disaster. After spending nearly a week helping with the relief efforts in Los Angeles, Debbie and Carrie go to Tulsa, where they finally can have a vacation. They visit the grave of Debbie's father, Rich Smith, and then go to Steve's club to get themselves drunk. After returning to the town from the failed vacation, Vicky learns from a former classmate, Carrie Winson, that Emily Chan has been spreading rumors about Vicky. Vicky then calls Emily's mother and asks that she do something about Emily. As it turns out, this is the last straw for Emily's parents, and they proceed to kick their daughter out of their home in a show of tough love. Several months later, Vicky and Paul return to Los Angeles again to attend the grand premiere of the movie based on Vicky's superhero book, as well as the publishing of the book itself. Both the book and the movie are smash hits, and Vicky becomes a millionaire. She and Paul then decide to leave the town and move to Boston so they can both attend Harvard University, with the ultimate goals of Vicky becoming a Unitarian Universalist minister and Paul becoming a doctor. And so ends the 14th season of the Debbie and Carrie Show.